Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Brash Rhino. Tonight on Kekistan Live, our episode is titled The Gift That Keeps on Giving. With me tonight is Macoptra and J-Fry, and hopefully joining us a little later will be Greasy Faggot. So, hey guys, how's it going tonight?
I can't complain. I feel like that's always my intro.
I can complain.
Well, we know.
I can complain. I got the creativity. I can think of something.
Well, I mean, I can. It would just kind of make me a hypocrite.
Yeah. Well, guys, we got quite a few topics to get through this hour, so we're going to go ahead and begin. Jay or Macoptra, you guys want to introduce the first topic having to do with our favorite YouTuber, Matt Christensen?
I'll introduce it because Macoptra's got so much to say on the topic, so he can take up after the introduction. He did a Twitter about how he gets not only his constitutional law information from that's where he gets his tips for blowjobs.
Yep.
And that was Cosmopolitan, I believe.
Yeah,
Cosmopolitan, yes. Because they're just so enamored by Gorsuch and his view of the Constitution, and it's just a cluster bomb. And they have a 10-point cluster bomb.
Fustercluck.
There we go. Of just wrong think and misspeak. And Macoptra is going to get involved with why they are so freaking wrong.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find it here. So if you could fill airtime.
All of the many points. Now, are you going to start with the tips on blowjobs, or are you going to go straight into the constitutional stuff?
I wouldn't know. You should probably start with the first one. I mean,
okay. Just the tip, ladies. Just the tip.
Just the tips.
No, just the tip. That actually has bothered me in general with the foreplay talk of like anybody who writes about it. Like, everybody's different. Don't just because you have the same body
brush.
No, it's like gays give the best blowjobs and lesbians give the best bean twiddling. But no, you've got your own personal taste, and that's you. Everybody else is different past that. And you're not an expert because you have one. You're an expert. I have a safe at home. I can't crack it. I own a safe, but everybody's combination lock is different.
Everybody's combination lock.
That's what my grandpa used to say.
I like it.
He never said that.
I like your fictional grandpa. It's amazing.
Yeah, 2 licks to the left, 1 twist to the right.
Is it true? Is it true he's a veteran of the first Kekistani War?
There was a first Kekistani War?
Oh, sure. Let's make up history. Why not?
Yeah.
My grandpa would have been. He was as an older gentleman, because he's my grandpa. He loved everything that was new. Technology was he had an opaque projector thing. I don't even know how that works.
An opaque projector?
Yeah. Like, apparently it's mirrors, and somehow that works to put a freaking book on the wall. Like, he could take a book and slide it under his projector. Like in math, they had like that transparent piece of paper they would write on, and that would get put up on the board. He could do it with a book. And like the whole book. You didn't need just like the sheet of paper and it would be shining through on the other side. Like a whole book.
That's pretty good.
I don't even know the physics of that.
The physics of that?
Physics. That's my word of the day.
The word of the day is physics. It's pretty creative.
Yeah, yesterday it was it was cluster bomb. So I've been trying to use them this week.
I know. It's a mutual trust.
You're a dick.
It's true. I never said I
Have you found this yet?
I'm still trying
because
I'm getting,
I could keep going.
I'm getting AIDS from this whole scrolling down Cosmos timeline.
All right, I will regale you with tales of sexual exploits.
Oh, great!
2 minutes, so you better get going.
Oh, gosh, the entire audience is gone.
Wait, we had an audience?
Not really.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, I got nothing on my sexual exploits. I did this chick, and she was upset, and I was happy, and that's about all that happened.
It's rape.
No. I paid her, so it was, and I gave her just the tip.
Where's? So I found like someone who found it, but yeah, it's 9 reasons where we've got this.
You have 10, but there's only 9.
Yeah, I've got 10 things to say about this. Do you want me to just share my screen or?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay.
Lamont Jenkins us.
Ooh. Okay. We'll make sure. This one.
WhereTheWhiteWomenAt.com. Oh, while you're getting your stuff together, I got a real quick one. So I am 36, and we came across in the digital age, and one of my classes was Internet 101, and we had we all made Gmails, and they wanted us to look up how to get our passports done. So we went to whitehouse.com. Whitehouse.com is not whitehouse.gov. Can anybody guess what whitehouse.com is?
I'm guessing it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. And this is the beginning of the internet, so they didn't have hackers and whatnot. It was a fun time was had by most.
It sounds like something that would be a required thing for like a school. I don't remember what they called those, but when you would go to the computer lab and they'd make you look up something as a class assignment in elementary school.
Yeah, it was crazy because in 6th grade we were playing Oregon Trail and it wasn't even connected to the internet. But by 10th grade, to the World Wide Web.
Yep,
Thank you,
AOL.
AOL.
With it.
I remember those days.
Yeah, crazy.
Okay, so I'm all set.
Okay, go for it.
Can you see my screen?
When you speak, it pops up.
Oh, great. Okay.
You just have to click on it.
Yeah, just click on that little
his
icon.
icon.
Dude.
Okay.
Learn to internet. Okay.
All right, go for it.
So this is the first argument here. I'm gonna put that in air quotes. And basically, what this is the does one of you guys want to read it?
Oh, sure, I'll read it. As long as you scroll up in time. No, not even Scalia. Oh, I'm sorry. No one is really an originalist. No, who decided plenty of cases according to his own whims and opinions. Take the District of Columbia v. Heller case about a DC law restricting handgun ownership. Until recently, judges recently interpreted the Second Amendment according to the same narrow interpretation many historians say the founders held, as evidenced by the text itself. That the Second Amendment.
Sorry about that.
That's my place.
You're right here.
No, I've got Brash on my screen.
Oh.
The Second Amendment doesn't give individuals the right to bear arms, but rather provides the right of well-regulated militias to exist. There's also significant historical evidence that the framers didn't intend to protect individual rights to bear arms. Bullshit. When the Constitution was being created, several states proposed language that would have done just that, and they were rejected by the framers in favor of a militia language of the Second Amendment. Nor, of course, did the semi-automatic handgun, an issue in the Heller case, exist in the 18th century. But the originalist or less interpreted the Second Amendment as protecting an individual's right to handgun ownership, flying in the face of text itself and the founders' intentions. The same issue has come up in cases relating to corporate speech in the form of political donations. When the founders penned the First Amendment, did they really intend to incorporate entities separate entities to be deemed people under the law. Scroll up.
I am scrolling.
Okay, there we go.
Yep.
People under the law.
Right here.
And the First Amendment's broad protections of speech to encompass a corporation's unfettered ability to give money to politicians. Never mind. Their impartial reading of the text and history of the Constitution is right. And the more liberal legal minds who also say that the impartial reading of the text and history are wrong. It turns out people disagree about the precise meaning of the words and sentences, and history is not clear on exactly how the founding fathers believe their words should be applied to conflicts and circumstances. They couldn't even imagine if even judges will twist and shape shift their alleged philosophies to get the outcome they want.
Okay, so this is sort of two parts, the Second and the First Amendment, but I really want to address the Second Amendment part because it uses this whole militia language thing. And the thing is, if you actually look at what the Founding Fathers probably meant when they said the words militia, they were referring to either men between the ages of 16 and, say, 70 who could reasonably be expected to bear arms against a government or an invasion by an outside force.
Agreed.
Or pretty much everyone would be the other possible interpretation that is likely they would have held. So if you want to say there are no originalists because most people who believe in the Second Amendment believe, for instance, women should be allowed to bear arms as well, then you might be right. But the militia isn't, like, when people say the militia, they're not talking about the Coast Guard in this sense. They're talking specifically about
the Minutemen.
Just people, essentially. The Minutemen would be a sort of example from before the Constitution was written.
And the Minuteman was just a group of citizens who had guns and the ability to be ready in a minute's notice.
Yeah, and that's essentially what they in all likelihood meant. And when they're talking about, like, oh, the semi-automatic weapons, well, the Founding Fathers licensed and gave the okay for private citizens to own cannons for their ships, because there was there was sort of a fear that the French would, well, not just the French, also the people from the Barbary states would be kidnapping Americans and holding them hostage at sea, and so they wanted something to defend themselves from pirates. And so it was like, yeah, you can have a weapon that is designed for destroying warships. This is okay. And
this is America.
Yeah, this is America. You can do that. And that's how it was at the time. Now, if you want to say that no one needs an AT-4, which is one example that was brought up to me, no one needs an AT-4. I probably agree with you on that. But,
well, Brash, you know what AT-4 is? A rocket launcher.
Yeah, it's an anti-tank weapon. It replaced the law. It's Swedish made, I think.
Well, not only that, but back in Revolutionary times, they did have multi-shot weapons.
Yeah,
pluck it.
Okay, technically they weren't semi-automatic because they didn't function like a semi-automatic rifle, but they were guns that had up to, I think,
multiple chambers,
a dozen or 20 different chambers that could be switched over and shot. They weren't very practical. They weren't widely adopted, I don't believe, because they weren't exactly practical or highly accurate, but they could get a lot of bullets out, or a lot of balls out, I guess, at the time, quickly. And I guess that was the advantage. So saying that it was only for muskets, these single shot ones, and they were only used for hunting, and that, it's a load of bullshit.
And I mean, a musket is essentially, like, you don't use a musket to hunt. Well, some people did, and some people still do. But the primary intention of a musket was formation, because they weren't designed to be very accurate. They were designed for a high rate of fire. You don't need high rate of fire to hunt deer. In this case, we're talking about like 5 shots per minute versus 3 shots per minute, which a rifle generally had much lower rate of fire but higher accuracy.
I'm looking at a weapon diagram from 1718, and it has a 6 six or let's see, 4 or 5, 6 or looks like 6 or 9 rounds to a drum, and it has kind of like a handle like you'd see on
It's like an early Gatling gun.
yeah, kind of like an early Gatling gun, but it had just the one barrel, and you'd rotate the handle like you do on a pepper grinder, and that's how it would fire. But yeah, so I mean, to say that there weren't, I guess,
multi-shot weapons.
Yeah, multi-shot weapons.
You would even say those might be fully automatic weapons.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, yeah. I mean, there's a constant rate of fire. So,
yeah. And those things, there's really no indication that the founding fathers were like, you're going a bit too far there.
No, none at all.
I mean, granted, like if you want to talk about the effectiveness of various weapons, obviously more modern weapons are far more effective than weapons from the 1800s. But that doesn't really change anything. If in my mind, if you want to change the Constitution, don't change what you think it means. Don't act the idiot. Get an amendment going and do it that way.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of them don't want to admit that they want to change the Constitution.
Yeah, you're trying to legislate from the bench, and that is something I have a big problem with as an originalist.
Absolutely.
And in all fairness, late 1600s, early 1700s, there were these stupid pistols that had 4 barrels that you just
like duckfoot pistols.
Yeah,
like you just kind of twisted the handle to get to the next round, and that was a thing. And well, it's not fully automatic, and there was no such thing in fully automatic until
well, I mean, if you think about it, one pull of the trigger, you release all of the rounds in the magazine. It's kind of like fully automatic.
There's a point there.
As long as there's more than one bullet coming out.
Yeah, but it's 3. It's just 3 barrels.
Some of those guns weren't all firing at the same time. Some of them were, you had to twist them.
Yeah, sometimes you had multiple triggers, for instance. A lot of double-barreled shotguns had 2.
Yep.
And still do.
Well, Bob, and your point on the cannons is pretty spot on. I mean, why not? If cannons...
You don't need artillery for home defense.
Yeah. So
speak for yourself. I have a shady house across the street.
But if the founding fathers never intended for
military weapons,
as the regressive left likes to say, military style weaponry to be in the hands of civilians, why did they authorize privately held cannons?
Mm-hmm. And why would they offer, for instance, privately held bayonets? You can only kill one person with a one-shot musket in any reasonable period of time, but you can skewer a whole bunch.
It's true.
And you generally don't hunt a deer with the bayonet end of a weapon. I mean, if you're really good, you might be able to sneak up on it.
Well, and the thing is,
hog
with those rifles, with the muskets, those things were really long, like 6 some odd feet long. Is that right? Yeah. I mean, they were incredibly long.
You needed that length to be accurate, as you could be.
And you put a gigantic blade on the front of that, it basically becomes a spear.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
it's a very short pike in a lot of ways, a Renaissance pike.
Yeah.
Accuracy here in air quotes until we get into just the tiniest bit of rifling and cone shaped.
They had rifles during the Revolutionary War.
Just basically the Kentuckians.
Yeah, and there were sharpshooters. They just, I mean,
yeah, the Kentuckians.
Yeah, Kentucky long rifle, or
and the Kentucky windage.
Yeah, but until you got to like the Minet ball or the mini ball, you really didn't have the same sort of accuracy. That was like Civil War, which is, granted, like 80 years later or so.
No one kills Americans like Americans.
It's true. We do it best. Look at Shiloh. Do you want to get on to the next one?
Yeah, let's go. You want me to read the next one?
Yeah, go for it, Brush.
Sure. Okay. Let's see here. Societies evolve, and that's a good thing. And our laws should reflect that evolution. Our understanding of human rights has gotten more sophisticated. So has the science on how we live, experience pain, and develop. The knowledge that the human brain isn't fully developed in teenagers, for example, wasn't around when the authors of the Constitution prohibited cruel and unusual punishment, nor was there the same understanding we have now about intellectual disabilities. That information has impacted court decisions on capital punishment, as it should. And eventually, many progressive lawyers hope our evolving human rights norms will put America in line with the rest of the developed world in outlawing capital punishment entirely.
Okay.
Kids are always going to be stupid.
So my thing is, here's the thing, okay? When the thing about the death penalty is, it isn't enshrined within the United States Constitution that the death penalty must be mandatory or that the death penalty must even be allowed. Like, if you go to Michigan, for instance, the death penalty is actually, like, it's explicitly stated that the death penalty is not allowed in our Constitution. So it doesn't really make sense to me that this comes as an argument, because I think what they're trying to say is the Constitution can be changed, but really what they're making a point of is that laws should change, and I totally agree. Laws aren't the Constitution. Well, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, but like when you were talking about laws passed by Congress, for instance, that's a different thing. And I agree, laws should change to affect society and our understanding of the world. I think the Constitution should also change via amendment, if necessary.
Which is why they put it in there.
Yeah, that's just why you can change the Constitution in my book.
Well,
without bothering me.
The thing about capital punishment is that if it were enshrined in the Constitution, federal law supersedes state law. Yep. So all states would be forced to use capital punishment as a deterrent to murder. So,
yep. But they could do the same thing through the legislature. There's no reason for that to be in the Constitution.
Well, yeah, and the Constitution was, effectively it was left open in a lot of ways as to it was a guiding set of principles for generations to use as sort of a guiding light on what laws, but it left it open. And they fully understood that things would change, society would change, science would discover new things. They knew this stuff.
Innovation wasn't alien to them, which is, I think, something people don't get, and that's, I think, the point you're trying to make. The thing is, though, the only constitutional argument they're making is that the death penalty is cruel and unusual punishment, which, I mean, you could make that argument, and I think that'd be fine to make that argument. But I'm not necessarily convinced by it, because, just saying someone is, receives the death penalty doesn't necessarily mean they suffer, in my mind. But, everyone can have their opinion.
Agreed.
And I'm fine with that. But the thing is, well, there are a couple things. First of all, what they're trying to refer to is, federal law. Federal law should change, should be malleable. That's why we have a legislature. If the Constitution didn't intend for laws to reflect society, they wouldn't have added, the Article 1 wouldn't exist. There'd just be, actually, there probably wouldn't even be there'd be an executive, but there wouldn't even need to be a legislature to begin with. We wouldn't have a House or Congress. We'd just have the Constitution, and that's it, if that was what they intended. The other thing is, they say our evolving human rights will put America in line with the rest of the developed world. Well, you know what the rest of the developed world doesn't have? The United States Constitution. Why does what they do matter if we're talking about constitutionalism?
Do you know what else?
If they adopted our Constitution, maybe, but they haven't. They have different constitutions.
Do you know what else?
Out of the 201 countries that the world has, 279, whatever. We are the only country that has a list that starts with what the government can't do instead of what the government can do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and one thing I'd point out is that we have one thing that all of the rest of the developed nations don't have, and that's true free speech.
Yep. At least protected free speech.
Yeah, Canada. In Canada, Britain, you can be brought up on charges, censured, fined for, and Germany as well. They had raids in Germany, rounding up people who posted quote unquote Islamophobic language on Facebook. I mean, that is just alien to us here in the United States. So yeah, hey, there's one thing that we have that the rest of the developed world doesn't have.
Yeah, and maybe they should get in line with us. Just saying.
Couldn't agree more.
So then the third one. Basically, it says, terms are the linchpin of constitutional interpretation. Equal, cruel and unusual, unreasonable search and seizure didn't mean the same thing in the 1790s as they mean now. Do we really want jurists to interpret equal the way it was meant when the Declaration of Independence declared that all men are created equal, excluding women and men who weren't white? As societies change, words do too, sometimes expanding and sometimes sharpening into focus. Figuring out what framers meant is important, but 18th century definitions of equal or cruel shouldn't dictate 21st century norms. I disagree. I mean, it's as simple as that. I disagree.
Next.
When it comes down to it, I don't think that, and this is fundamentally what differentiates someone who is a interpretivist and someone who is, I forgot what I am. Gosh darn it. A
Directist.
Not as no. A strict constructionist is entirely different from a I forget what it's called.
Originalist. Weren't you an
An
originalist?
originalist, you're right. That's right. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know why I'm so scattered.
That's what you are.
Yeah, here I am. Anyway, so that is the difference.
Okay.
You're right there, Papa?
Yeah,
guys,
I'm
let's
fine.
just pause real quick. Hey, Greasy, you've got a bunch of feedback coming through.
Plug in that $6 headset you got.
We're just hearing what we're saying repeated through your line. Okay, I'm gonna mute Greasy till she figures that out.
Okay.
You know, Benjamin Franklin had 16 siblings.
Did he?
Gee, I was trying to look up the number of inventions he has because he's invented some crazy, wonderful stuff. The Franklin stove, swim fins, bifocals. I can't get a number on it, but yeah, you know, his lifetime, things drastically changed.
Mm-hmm.
Franklin stove wasn't expensive at all. You know, he like revolutionized, you know, not freezing to death in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
So he himself was responsible for like a boom in like children living.
Yep.
We got this figured out, Greasy. Go ahead. She's gone. I'm not screen sharing.
Anyways, what I was trying to say is that the fundamental difference between an originalist and an interpretivist is what they're just saying right there. You know, if you're an originalist, you do believe that what words meant to those people are what they were trying to say, and therefore, you have to take it as what they were trying to say. Nothing else.
The spirit of the law versus the letter of the law.
Yeah, if you want to, I mean, we can change definitions all we want, and that's what originalists are trying to get around. They're trying to say, no, just because you change this word to mean, just because you change the word free speech to mean only if you agree with me, doesn't mean that that's what was meant at the time. And that's the beauty of it.
Good point.
I would just like that everybody else's rights end where my feelings start.
It's true.
Yeah.
Just like your right to swing your fist ends right where my nose begins.
Like right
your right
before.
to say stuff ends right where my feelings begin.
Right before my ears.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work that way. All right. Well, I think, Greasy, do we have it figured out? Are you there?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can.
Cool. I didn't have any headphones on. It's probably why you guys were hearing feedback. And I apologize for being late. I got a little busy.
You're right on time.
Little busy.
Okay. Are we on number 4 then?
Yeah.
All right. Technology evolves and the law has to keep up. Take the Fourth Amendment, which guarantees the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures without a proper warrant and probable cause. Under a strict textual reading, would the Fourth Amendment apply to cars, which the founders didn't have? What about to government wiretaps of personal telephones, which also didn't exist when the Constitution was ratified? A strict reading would allow broad government surveillance and the exact kind of tyranny the founders were trying to block. But unless the understanding of the text keeps pace with rapidly changing technology and innovation, the words and intentions of the Constitution will become obsolete, and we will all be worse off.
Okay, so here they're making a sort of fallacy of equation between two different schools of constitutional thought. So you have originalists, and then you have strict textualists, which is someone who reads the text verbatim exactly as what it means, like by the dictionary, which pretty much no one is, to my knowledge, but it is a different school of thought. So, for instance, if you wanted to say the First Amendment is freedom of the press and the right to speech, I forget exactly what the words are, then you'd have to say that writing with a pen and quill wouldn't be protected, because that's not speaking out loud, and that is not the use of the press, a printing press, for instance. So it wouldn't be protected, right? Well, that's not what they meant. Clearly, that's not what they meant. So all you're saying
goodbye
is,
to your blogs.
Yeah. So what we're saying is, because an originalist would say something like, if the internet existed, then they would probably apply the same logic that they would apply to a pen and quill.
Obviously,
that would be protected in the same way, even though it isn't said. This still applies to the broader implication of the term speech, and that's what they meant, and that is the difference between the two.
And let's be clear, I mean, your papers, that means your phone calls. Their version of a phone call was a letter.
Yeah.
Their effects was their covered wagon.
Exactly. I was going to point out wagons.
Yeah, wagons aren't like cars.
Wagons and
yeah.
And you did, I believe, need a warrant to search a wagon. So it doesn't apply, because
which would only make sense.
Yeah, because these things, even though you could say they're not the same, like
they're analogous.
They serve a similar function, and it's pretty clear that they should all be protected, because that's what, if the founders were alive today, they'd probably be like, yeah, this is what we meant. We didn't mean literally speech or literally things that are made on a printing press. We mean those and the sort of analogous functions, being able to communicate with each other and associate freely, for instance. And that's what they meant. And because these things are means of communication, I guess in this case they're talking about the Fourth Amendment, but the same applies. The First Amendment is just a lot easier to talk about.
Well, and what's interesting here is it's the same argument in reverse as I believe the first point, which was, the Second Amendment only meant
literally
muskets.
Means this.
Yeah, literally means muskets. Therefore, it has to. Therefore, all this shit is illegal. It should be illegal, and they should do away with it. In this one, it's shit changes. Otherwise, this stuff won't. It's just the same argument.
It's just because what we're talking about is the Constitution means whatever I want it to mean. Not
exactly.
The Constitution means what it was intended to mean at the time. Those are the differences between. And actually, we skipped it, but the first thing they say is a glowing review of originalism, and then they say, but it's all wrong. But they give exactly the reasons why people are originalists, because it's objective, because it's not based on feelings or wishy-washy whatever. It's just based on, we interpret it with the same lens for everything, even things that we would personally find distasteful.
What's dangerous about this line of thinking that this author obviously has, and many regressive leftists have, is the Constitution means whatever I need it to mean at the time so that I can accomplish what I want to accomplish or enforce what I want to enforce.
Yeah.
Like when they say,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Greasy.
like when they say, the Constitution doesn't protect hate speech,
Yep.
Yeah.
just protects free speech.
Hate speech is protected free speech.
Yeah, and they do that by redefining the term free speech, which is exactly the thing that an originalist would be trying to avoid.
Yep.
Because hate speech, that redefinition was not what was intended, pretty clearly. Okay, so Kyle is currently requiring a little bit of diversity training on my end. Does someone else want to pull it up?
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
And another thing
to
is
give you the link.
I've got it, actually.
Well regulated. The militia, when they talk about the militia being well regulated, that's just a term for, knowing what your junk is and how to use it.
Yeah, but it also could mean things like it essentially means sort of available to stock itself to the best possible degree. What they probably feared when they wrote well regulated is, yeah, you can have a militia, but you're armed with sticks. Oh,
so like a well outfitted militia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, they wanted you to have.
They probably didn't
not only the means but the ability.
They probably didn't mean the government will give guns to these people, but they probably meant, yeah. I mean, the government generally they did it to pay off their debts, though. They generally sold guns to people, which made sense at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead.
Background checks, I've heard.
I'm going to need a letter from your pastor.
That's funny.
Sure, the seal's intact because we're securing our papers up in this piece.
We wouldn't want those to be subject to any unreasonable searches and seizures.
Okay, guys, I'm going to pull up on screen share this article here.
Okay.
So,
now is this about the Constitution or the blowjobs?
Both.
All right, here we go. So originalism is a cover for legal discrimination. Here we go. Originally, people
originally makes me laugh so much.
Originally, people who were not white, Christian land-owning men were not treated particularly well in the United States and were not granted a full set of rights and liberties. A strictly textual, there's that word again, we're not talking about textual, reading of a law isn't neutral. It also invites in the reader's own biases and assumptions. And when that reader is looking to the historical record for the original meaning, well, a lot of our laws originally allowed a lot of terrible acts. Take the 14th Amendment, which was penned after the Civil War and provides for equal rights and protections under the law. The 1896 case, Plessy versus Ferguson, addressed the question of whether the equality promised by that amendment prohibited segregation. And the Supreme Court found that it did not. That separate but equal was still equal and permissible. It wasn't until a half century later in Brown versus Board of Education that the court reversed itself in a decision that was notably based not just on the text of the 14th Amendment itself, but also a showing that conditions for African Americans were not equal to those of whites under Jim Crow, and that this inequality had starkly negative psychological and social impacts on black children. The words of the text didn't change, but the court's and society's understanding of unequal did.
Before we get into this, want to point out that in 1956, after Plessy versus Ferguson, the black community as a whole had over 79%, the highest in the world, not a country, rate of long-term marriages to date, like at all, anywhere, was in these apparently second-class ghettos that the separate but equal people were complaining about.
Well, the thing is,
marriage.
The thing is, I do think that Plessy got it wrong, in the same way that I think Dred Scott got it wrong. And there are a couple of cases which are similar, which I think, they did get it wrong in those cases. And well, yeah, we talked briefly about it being textual, and I think the Supreme Court. The thing about the Supreme Court is it is made of people, and not all of them are originalists. And so to say, oh yeah, the Supreme Court went back on its word, yeah, but the Supreme Court changes and its makeup changes.
Yep.
It doesn't really make sense. Even in 50 years, the Supreme Court's pretty stable.
This argument assumes that the judges on the bench at the time of Plessy versus Ferguson were originalists, and that they viewed it as on an originalist level, which
essentially what they were judging in that case is equal protection under the law, is separate but equal the same as equal protection under the law. I think they got it wrong. I do think that in Brown v. Board, when they said separate but equal is inherently unequal, that was actually what should have been the proper interpretation. The other thing here is that they say originally people who were not white Christian landowning men were not treated well in the United States. It's pretty true if you think about it. But we had, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, and those amendments were written in the 1860s, 1870s. Those are entirely, new interpretations to the text. And that changes the overall meaning of the text in this context. And so if you want to talk from an originalist point of view about those amendments, you have to talk about the people who penned those amendments, the sort of Lincolnite Republicans. And there is where you kind of get your context from which to draw what those words mean. It isn't just what was thought in the in 1787 when it was penned. It includes anything that was written in the amendments when those amendments were written, because those change the meaning of the Constitution. That's what they do. I don't really know how to put it more plainly than that. That might have been a little bit off the walls.
Let's not forget, in the middle of last century, we were just getting off of Roosevelt's trying to stack court so far up with people on his side that we ended up with 24 Supreme Court justices at one time. Like we literally had to no, stop it. We're gonna get down. We're gonna get 9 people. You and your shenanigans and your 24 years of presidency, we're putting a limit to you too.
Yep. I think we've gone over that. Do you want to go on to the next one?
Sure. Let me just roll that up. All right.
Do you want to stop after the next one so we can get on to more exciting stuff also?
Sure. Let's do it. Well, which out of the remaining ones is the
I honestly think the next one is pretty perfect because it's self-contradictory.
All right, let's go for it. Number 6, not even the founders were originalists. What?
so just what that says is the founders didn't mean what they meant when they wrote the Constitution.
OGs aren't OGs, dog.
I'd love to see how they justify that.
This author knows what they're talking about because they have God powers and can know the past, present, and future.
The whole thing was an elaborate troll by the founding fathers that went too far. That's what they're saying.
Guys, I need 55 of you to sign this. This is going to be hilarious.
I bet in a couple hundred years, people are going to think we actually meant it.
Oh, we need to put this somewhere where it won't get messed up. You filled up half the page.
That was the Declaration of Independence, but okay.
It's just a prank, guys.
Gracie, do you want to read number 6?
Do I want to read number 6? I can't see it.
Just click on Brash's picture.
Phone.
I did, but I can't see it.
Oh, okay.
It's on her phone, so it's a tiny little.
Well, no, it's a black screen. What's the article?
It's the Cosmopolitan thing. I can read it.
Okay.
Reading.
No, you can read it if you want, Jay.
No, it's all right. Brash, what the hell, man?
Yeah. You're letting them peer behind the veil.
Are you really on Evan McMullen's page, dude? What the shit?
Evan McMullen's page.
Oh, thanks, Brash.
I think I was reading some of his crap. I was trying to share that link with Greasy since I had to mute my mic for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, I can go ahead. I can go ahead and read it. One sec. Wait.
I keep wanting to change your tabs.
All right. All right. Here's number 6. If originalist judges want to follow the word and intent of the founding fathers, then they should trash originalism as a concept. Okay. The framers of the Constitution didn't offer any instructions for how to interpret the document, nor did they get into specifics on what each of its provisions meant. Instead, they proffered broad concepts that, 2 centuries later, remain broadly applicable. Then what's your problem okay. This was a prescient decision, and one reason the United States is the oldest constitutional democracy in the world, precisely because our founding principles are sacred but nimble and not constrained to a particular time period, except when it comes to the Second Amendment, apparently.
Yeah, that meant exactly what it meant, at the time, and cannot be changed.
But everything else is up for interpretation.
Just
it's
as
a living
widely as
document,
possible, except for the Second Amendment.
Jesus, please.
Because
It's supposed to be broad, motherfuckers.
and increasingly the First Amendment.
Yeah, that too. We're getting to the point where our freedom of speech is going to be coming under threat.
It is a self-refutation, though, because the idea isn't, the way that the founding fathers told us. It's the way that, they wrote it with a specific intent. Their goal was to create a document that would constrain the government and assist in setting up how the government would be run. That was their goal, especially the 10 amendments. The idea there was just, this is what the government can do. This is what the government cannot do. That's it. And so,
Bill of Rights or
Yeah,
Bill of White?
yeah, got him.
Bazinga.
So it's pretty. It sort of doesn't make any sense to say they didn't really have anything in mind when they were writing this. It's like saying they wrote it on a bar napkin or something. It's just, this is my fanfic of how government should be. But this isn't Marxism.
I'm doing this for the lulz, guys.
I bet
Honestly.
you they all got together, be like, it's just a prank, bro. I'm just
Yeah,
waiting for one of the founding fathers to bust out. It was just a prank, bro.
Yeah. Speaking of doing stuff for the lulz, do you want to get on to the next topic?
Yeah, let's move on. This was fun. I guess anyone listening, if you guys want to go ahead and read over those last few points, they are pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But in the interest of time, since we're approaching the 1 hour mark, we're going to move on because there's still a lot to talk about. All right, let's quickly talk about one of my favorite stories of the week so far. I've been there since season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I have followed these characters and this story since season 1. It is probably my favorite piece of entertainment in the past 10 years. And you all know what we're talking about. The season premiere
Of the 5th season of He Will Not Divide Us.
Yes, of the 5th season of He Will Not Divide Us. So,
UK edition.
seasons. We need to cover
Let's go
the
through it.
seasons because I missed the second season and the 4th season flew by.
Do we need to do a season recap? No, let's not do a season recap. I think everybody probably knows.
Yeah,
pretty
so
well about that.
the long and the short.
So, okay, well, I'll just do a very, very quick recap. Shia LaBeouf sets up his He Will Not Divide Us camera in New York City. It is quickly, like day 1, overrun with Poll and Are the Donald users making a mockery of him. There's fights. There's beatings. Thing gets shut down. Moves to Albuquerque. That one's shut down because of it's in a bad neighborhood and there's gunshots. But again, it was just all the Poll guys, all the Reddit guys were there to make fun of it. Then season 3 was go ahead and take that over, Jay.
That took place in Tennessee and it lasted for a week, maybe. Shia was seen outside of town that it happened in, and was through just the strictest, most autism possible, was being and flight patterns
Yes.
was found within the very week.
Weaponized autism.
And from there they
Sounds.
shipped it. Goodness. And from there it was shipped out to across the pond to our friends in Liverpool, England.
And thus begins season 5, where now
Four,
Jay, you were
four,
or 4,
season
sorry,
4.
4. Jay, you were saying that the poll guys actually found it before it was even announced on the He Will Not Divide Us webpage.
JP was, but yeah, it was discovered on the 17th, and by the 19th they put it in the bottom of the He Will Not Divide Us, and by the 22nd, 23rd, what was it? Was it there? Was yesterday? Is it there yesterday or our yesterday?
It was I think our yesterday.
They had already I don't know, Spider-Man across a freaking skyscraper to the other skyscraper. Was that what happened? There's a little bit of insanity. And they played the most dangerous capture the flag game since Russia. I don't know. That was 9 hours ago. So yeah, that was both of our yesterdays. No, that was our today. They're yesterday. Jeez Louise.
Wasn't it you, Jay, that said no one's that autistic, and they kind of proved that they are?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Well, because they had originally they had posted it with a seagull, and they wanted to do cloud patterns at the time. Like, no, because I still don't understand. I understand stars used for navigation. Yeah, I do not see how you can statically because of the stars in the sky.
Well,
Hey, I am.
so the
Physics of it.
latest is that He Will Not Divide Us went all digital. I didn't see what the stream was, but apparently it was it a digital flag, Macoptra?
Mm-hmm.
And promptly it was taken down by autistic hackers. And man, I don't know. I guess the next step is she is going to have to put it in his brain to try to keep it safe.
Or put it on the moon?
I wouldn't put it past the guys at Poll to take that down too.
By oh, they created a long range drone.
A very long range
longest
range drone ever privately built.
I heard Brianna Wu is against putting the flag on there in case it falls off and kills half of the continental United States.
Well, and that is a real possibility, because a flag dropped from the moon, just the gravity would just absolutely destroy. It'd be like a nuclear bomb.
Increase.
I keep suggesting they don't use nickel iron flagpole, but they good. I'll shut up now.
Do you guys see this tweet from Fact Liverpool on police advice? Fact and LaBeouf, Ranalco and Turner have removed the installation He Will Not Divide Us.us due to dangerous illegal trespassing. So good.
As opposed to that,
man.
just regular levels.
Absolutely.
Wait, how do we know that Shia LaBeouf isn't like playing along with this too?
Nah, he's too well, maybe he's trying to play it like these guys that go and spray swastikas all over their own homes.
They're not even
know.
swastikas.
Yeah,
they're like for the
pinwheels.
clovers and pitchforks.
Yeah, pretty funny. All right, let's be done with that one so we can move into our last topic, and one that I'm sure a lot of that we'll all have a lot to say on, which is the London terrorist attack that took place yesterday for us. And yeah, brutal.
Yep.
Brutal. Who wants to take the lead on that one?
actually, because I wanted to comment on the mayor was all about building bridges instead of walls.
That's right.
And when you build bridges, jihadis will run you over on them.
Yes, they will.
Yeah. Isn't that how it started too? Because the suspect's not named yet, right? Because they were saying the
No,
person
he's
they thought it was is in jail.
No, he's been named.
He's been named?
Yep. Anybody got the name? I don't really care to, but it is.
Let me see if I can find it.
I believe it was
Yeah, it
Jeff.
started.
Mike?
Jeff?
Tim, right? Tim.
It was Adam Smith, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed neo-Nazi.
Adam Smith.
Oh, I
didn't do
bet.
nothing.
I bet it was
Oh,
a
wait.
neo-Nazi.
Oh wait, that's not true at all.
It's the I thought it was the Amish.
The Amish. Jebediah, you little bastard. The suspicious.
It's always
horse
those Amish getting up to no good. He was celebrating his breakaway from the Amish community by driving a truck for the first time, but it ended disastrously since he didn't know how to drive.
What's that called? Rockspula? Isn't that what's called? Rockspula?
I
think I saw that episode.
I'm pretty sure his name is Brigham Young.
So is what?
Brigham Young?
No.
Weaponized Mormonism?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Actually.
So all right. So just
Peace to the Middle West.
In the Midwest. All right. Just a quick, very quick recap because I'm sure everyone has heard about this. A man drove across one of the bridges. Sorry, one sec.
Westminster.
Yeah, it was Westminster Bridge.
All right. Sorry, I had to step away for a second. Somebody take it.
He's got to throw a shoe at a kid. He'll be right back. I'm trying to find the information about. I can't. I mean, I don't really care to.
There are a lot of
shine
Gregory
light on
Smiths, though.
this bastard. Matthew Fournier, I believe is his name. He.
Is this the guy who
I don't.
Like, look at how diverse the victims are.
Oh man, that pissed me off so bad.
Oh,
That really pissed me off. We're so diverse, guys.
Look
Even
at how
in
diverse
tragedy,
all these
we're
people
so
who are
diverse.
dead are.
Look at all these diversely dead people. Give me a break.
No. There was
And
only
they
4
died in
dead.
such
Look at all these
diverse
corpses
ways.
of color.
20
Corpses of
injured,
color.
but only 4 dead. And I do not. I can't stand. Like even back when we had the Pulse Club nightclub, 49 people were killed. Not 50, 49. The 50th dead was the scumbag who shot everybody up. And in this case, it's 4 victims and 1 piece of trash. I like when they.
What's the politically correct term for someone who shoots up a bunch of people or drives a car over people?
Piece of shit.
Mm.
I have the info right here, guys.
But it's spelled like peace.
It rhymes with Shizlam.
I got the info right here, guys.
Okay, go for it.
All right, 4 people have died, including a police officer and the attacker. So 3 people have died.
No, it's 4 people.
4 people,
including the attacker.
So 3 were.
So 3
killed.
people.
4.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 3 people plus the cop, right?
No, it's 4 people,
4 people
including
total,
a police officer
those two.
and the attacker.
Jay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Keep up.
I will step
So
back.
3 people have been killed.
3 people.
Jay, we all know math is not your strong suit, so just leave it to me. Thank you.
Both of you can shut up.
All right. Police say 29 other people were treated in hospitals, 7 of whom are in critical condition. The assailant was named by police on Thursday as Khalid Massoud, 52, who was born in Kent, but was believed to have been living in the West Midlands most recently. He drove a car into pedestrians on Westminster Bridge, killing 2 people before crashing it outside Parliament and trying to enter the complex armed with 2 knives. He stabbed an unarmed police officer who later died from the injuries. Armed police then shot the attacker. The police officer was identified as PC Keith Palmer, 48, who had 15 years of service with the Parliamentary and Diplomatic Protection Service and was a husband and father. They're just talking about the victims.
So I think we can all agree it's very tragic.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that
Oh.
we're so desensitized to it that we make terrible assault truck comments on a regular basis.
Truck of peace.
Oh, here's more info too, not about the victims. May they rest in peace.
Nobody needs 18 wheels to drive.
My personal, so the sort of life that I live is like, for instance, in terms of like Nazi humor, for instance, and just dark humor in general. Do you think they would appreciate being made fun of? I don't think so. So I'm going to mock them vigorously.
The Nazis?
Yeah. You really think Hitler would have been like, oh, all of these people who are just like making my entire life and work a joke? Like, oh, I love these people. As
You
opposed
could
to the
say
people who are like Voldemorting him, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Well, they
do you
did to
think he
Milo,
appreciates
too.
more?
Yeah. He did not see that branch of humor coming.
Doc,
And
how do you come up
frankly-
with these so fast?
I have nothing to do all day. I just had to cross that one off my list.
Yeah, this is way out of my comfort zone, if we're going to be honest here.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, guys, here's more info about the assailant, about the terrorist. Sorry.
Was he
Yeah,
was he somebody high up, or was that just crap that I spewed out for no reason? Was he a cleric, or was I completely wrong?
It was
on that?
originally circled that it was this hate preacher, but that guy had apparently been in prison for a very long time and was in prison at the time that the actual thing went down. So probably not him.
I mean, as far as alibis go, that's a pretty good.
But I mean, I can see. I don't think that's true, but I can see where you may have gotten that.
I got it from chat on the fake news of Beauty and the Beta. So yeah, I can see how that's
Well,
It's a good place to look.
no, it's not.
well, he had been.
Don't use cats.
He had a
there.
range of previous convictions for assaults, including GBH, which I'm not sure what that is. Possession of offensive weapons and public order offenses. His most
Gross bodily
recent
harm.
gross bodily
Yeah, that's
harm.
what I thought.
Okay. His most recent was in December 2003 for possession of a knife. ISIS has claimed responsibility.
Which just means that it doesn't mean that they were responsible. It just means that it's politically convenient for them to say they were responsible.
True.
What? The terrorists are lying to us?
All I can say is, what would possibly motivate, an upstanding Asian man to do something like this?
Oh, geez.
So police have searched 6 addresses in Birmingham, London, and other parts of the country. 5 men and 3 women were arrested on suspicion of preparation of terrorist acts.
Preparation of taking hostages. Preparation H. That was a stretch. I think I pulled something.
It was a stretch, but that's why we have you on.
The only reason. It's not for my my great segues that you seem to come up with. That's my favorite. My favorite part of the show is finding out how we're getting to the next topic.
Yeah, it's always a merry-go-round, isn't it?
At least somebody has a favorite part of the show.
We're the only ones who watch it.
I rewatch it just when I'm bored. Like, oh, I could have made a point here.
Yeah, I just think, wow, I sound terrible.
Well, I have the pleasure of having a brother who sounds exactly like me, so I know how annoying I sound.
I show it to my friends, and they're like, "You don't talk much." I said, "Yeah, I know, but it's cool."
You
I
should
say what I
talk
want to
more, though.
say.
You need to be more assertive.
It's more the environment.
We
Yeah,
need
get in
more
there.
women in STEM.
Tell that guy to shut up. From what I hear, somebody's not guarding the gates very well over at the MSU.
I know. It is a darn shame. I
Wait,
told
what?
them you need to get like security robots or something.
Too bad they're all
Look at that.
fugly.
Wait, what's this about?
So biological sciences pretty much everywhere are dominated by women.
by fugly women. You'll find out when you rewatch the show. Also, there's a great segment I have about cunnilingus, so tune in.
Oh, you do. That was a thing.
So guys, I wanted to just on the London thing. I came across a tweet that really made me angry.
Did you find that
And-
guy?
Which guy?
Is it the one with the list?
No.
Background of all the people who got ran over.
No. So this is one. It made me
Multicultural speed
angry
bumps.
and sad. It's a very poignant tweet, and of course it's anecdotal. But this guy at Jack Buckby, he says, "I've never felt quite so despondent. All I noticed in London today was silent defeatism. No anger, just acceptance that this is our life now." And I posted that on Reddit with the following title. I said, "This is our life now. Western leftists have brought the siege-like conditions that Israel suffers under to the West. And so hating Israel for standing up to these assassins, they have let the butchers into the gates. Now the streets run red and the blood of innocents drips from the savage's cleaver." A little dramatic, but, you know, for decades now, Western leaders have
Placated.
But not only placated, but also
Appeased.
yes, appeased, and now
Kowtowed.
Pulls up the
Invited.
thesaurus.
rolled out the red carpet now, letting millions of people from a culture that is very violent in its founding document, very violent. Encourages violence against anyone who's not of the faith, and they've rolled out the red carpet to these people and have invited this sort of thing, and the landscape of Europe has changed, and in the next 15, 20, 30 years, I don't see it getting any better. I only see it getting worse, because this guy, the attacker here, he was born in England. He was a native citizen of England.
Yep.
Well,
Guess what didn't really happen? Integration didn't really happen if this is his end.
It is strange because generally
the Swedish secretary for defense of Islam ended up going over and fighting in the Syrian war.
that's a true patriot.
So he wasn't even he came to Islam or ran to Islam, whatever the hell happens. But he wasn't even a natural Islamist.
Muslim.
Whatever. Yeah, he wasn't born Muslim. Like that's a race, but he converted and went full retard while he was there.
I was actually talking to someone about this thing in the refugee crisis kind of going on in Europe and how they're not really integrating that well. And he pointed out to me that the case is especially difficult and tricky in Germany because Germany's been pretty much shamed for the atrocities that they committed in the world wars. And I guess yeah, and if
The
you're
German
shamed
guilt.
for so long, yeah, it's the German guilt.
Mhm.
It's not even, it goes past even white guilt. It's just
Yep.
German guilt. And so if Germany is seen denying these different ethnicities, then they pretty much are back, I guess, in the same boat. They feel like they would be back in the same boat as where they were in World War II.
Yep. There's this
Well,
sort
see-
of
That's
fear, and it's a sort of pathological fear that not all Germans, but a fair number of Germans have, that in each German lies Hitler. There's a Nazi, a Hitler youth in there somewhere, just waiting to be awakened by the right conditions, and we have to be constantly vigilant against us because that's the thing, and it's caused Germany, in some ways, to fear governing itself, and that's in my estimation why they're so big with the EU, because they are afraid of governing themselves, and so they think no one should be governing themselves because that's how wars start. And
That is
it is
that's a
it's
caustic view to
like
take.
Yeah, it's like
A holocaustic view to take.
Yeah,
it's masochistic. It's
yeah,
it's suicidal is the problem. I mean, obviously when you talk about this sort of situation, it's the classic hashtag not all. Well, of course it's not all, but the problem with just opening the floodgates and just running as many people as you can through as quickly as possible is you cannot properly vet the people coming through, and you're going to let terrorists in, as evidenced by Europe almost on a weekly basis. There's this crap is going on, and we're going into the warmer months now. It's going to get
There was
worse.
one today.
Well, yeah, there's the Belgian guy.
There was yesterday, and then Antwerp today.
Yeah,
well, this morning or whatever.
Luckily, that guy was completely incapable and didn't hurt anybody, but he damn well tried.
Wait, what happened in Antwerp? I have not heard of this yet.
Some dude tried to run down a bunch of people in a market, and it was not successful, thankfully. Otherwise we would have had the left hashtag I stand with Belgium and changing their profile pics on Facebook to do a lot of good with that, because that really helps by just saying, hey, we believe in love. We don't believe in violence. Well, gee, I don't either. I don't believe in violence, but sometimes you have to use it to stop bad people from doing bad things.
Oh, I believe in violence.
Yeah.
It happens against us all the time.
Because you got to punch them Nazis, man.
I carry a wrench up my sleeve for that very reason.
I'm really fed up with
tolerant
apologists. They're not tolerant. The only people they're tolerant for are the only ism they are tolerant of is Islam. Or no, I guess
Islamism.
Islamism. Sure, there we go. It's really just makes me angry.
It's an infuriating thing to see that, and to know I am a huge proponent of the Second Amendment. I have an AR-15 rifle. I put my AR-15 pistol with it just so it has someone to talk to. Keep it mellow. And that these people have had literally the right of self-defense taken away from them. I don't know. I want to say 2004, maybe. I was reading an article because I did that once, and they had the article was that because of the universal health care that they now have in England, they passed a law that you can't put chicken wire glass infused with chicken wire in your sheds anymore because burglars were cutting themselves on it.
What?
Injuries coming from people trying to steal from you. That they made the nasty chicken wire wrapped, or the glass wrapped chicken wire. They took that away because it was deterring people from. It wasn't really deterring, but it was causing too many injuries. The fuck?
Yeah.
It reminds
kind
me
of legal system.
Well, we had something similar kind of happen here, not like a law being passed, but I think it was in California, and this burglar broke into someone's house and they tripped over their coffee table, and the burglar then sued the owners of the house for damages and won.
No, it's got to be something like there's got to be a step of negligence. It can't be a coffee table, but like the guy who fell through the skylight and cut himself on a knife. The knife was negligently placed on the cutting board point or stabbed into the cutting board. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a step in between. It can't just be
or like yeah, but there was water on the kitchen floor, and so he slipped on the water while he was trying to steal all of your silverware.
There was snow on the roof, so Santa sues your ass.
It would happen. Honestly, in my mind, you shouldn't be able to sue if you're injured in the middle of committing a criminal act. But
Yeah.
that's just me.
I mean, that's how it works for felonies. Like if you're committing a felony and there's 3 of you and you're like breaking into somebody else's house and I just unload from my porch, if it's your fault I killed you.
Yeah.
Alan's.
Yeah, but if they slip on water in your kitchen, because you were mopping a little bit before and you didn't put out a sign. Just
I wish
the
I
legal
could
system
find
can be terrific.
a tweet with multicultural speed bumps in it. Yeah.
Well,
There was a
fuck
list.
speed
Somebody
bumps.
Oh
the
gosh.
list of all the nationalities of the people who were
Yeah, I saw that as well.
injured by the car, and
They should sue for damages.
Even in
I don't think
bad-
he was properly using his tires.
Yeah. I don't think he was properly using the road. Might have been just drunk driving.
It was a bridge. I don't think there were cars
you might
allowed
have
on it.
you may have just been driving while under the influence of a dangerous religion.
Sir, could you step out of
Driving
your
while
car?
indoctrinated.
Yes.
Oh God!
All right.
Sir, is this a Quran in your car?
Sir, I'm
What's
gonna need
the-
you to
what's-
Hail Mary backwards.
What's the test? Hail Mary backwards, oh brother.
Can you recite the Lord's Prayer?
Sir, I'm gonna need you to name 3 saints.
Just pick 3 random names. There's probably a saint. Except maybe not Bob.
Elizabeth.
There is.
Probably true.
There is
There is
no Saint Bob.
This is Saint Bob.
There are several
Bob.
Saint Roberts, though.
Saint Bob. Maybe that's what we should call you from now on. Saint Bob. Saint Bob of the
Perpetually offended.
no, the perpetually offended. I like it.
No, it was a Saint Bob of the Originalists.
Yes, of the constitutional originalists.
I
Yep.
like it. I
Yeah,
like
but
that
then he's never gonna remember his name.
Yeah, patron saint of constitutional originalism.
Oh, so you're the one.
Yeah.
You're the ones that the cosmopolitan chick wants to. You're the one cosmopolitan chick wants to throw in jail.
Yeah, that's why I had such a problem
Wait.
with it.
What?
Was it a chick?
I mean, she basically just
I
said that it
missed
don't
that.
exist.
I may have. Let's see. Let me pull it up.
I missed that. What?
No, we sent you the.
Oh yeah,
thing,
he missed the good opening.
Well, I was a little distracted.
Oh, I closed that window.
That's why I was so hot under the collar.
Oh, damn it. I closed that tab.
I got it.
Sir, name 3 religious artifacts.
Yeah, it's Jill. Jill Filipovic.
Flipovic? Jill
Oh.
Flipovic? She wants to throw constitutionalist originalists.
No, she just thinks that they
Originalist.
don't exist.
Let's see. A frequent speaker and on-air commentator on gender, political, and legal issues.
Wasn't like
Former
there a
weekly
girl that
columnist for The Guardian. The Guardian.
Those are some
And
serious
editor of the
credentials.
website Feministe. There's a surprise. Jill
There's
is
some
also she's a non-practicing lawyer. Non-practicing lawyer. Does that mean she never got her? She was.
Yeah, did she not
never-
pass the bar?
Yeah, she didn't pass the bar, or what does this mean?
I don't know. You have to. I mean, I don't know how hard the bar is. I've never taken it, to be honest.
Well, I hear it's one of the easier ones. It's harder. The CPA and the business exams harder than those.
Well, it depends because the Bar Association has various tests on a state-by-state basis. Some states, I'm sure, it's much harder than others.
Hawaii's got to be pretty easy.
It's Hawaii.
Just
all you gotta do
pineapple
is
law.
feelings.
Yeah, just as long as you know the proper litigation for pineapples and like pineapple pesticides, you're fine.
Hey,
Hey, brother.
I
What's
resemble
the
that remark.
what's the rule on that spam, yo? Scrambled eggs.
Always spam. That is the
Well,
rule.
that's That's like the
And-
meat they can get. It's
like-
freaking awful.
like the mixed spamwich.
Have you guys
Oh,
never
they
heard of
scam
Kahlua
everything.
fucking pork, you fucking uneducated plebes? Fuck.
Yeah, well, who's gonna bury a pig for a day? Come on.
Hawaiians, they do it all the time.
I've had one in the backyard for, 22 hours now. I'm about to pull it out.
What kind
That's
of
a long
appropriation
day.
is that? Pigs
Okay.
are native to Hawaii.
Cultural appropriation, Brash. God damn it.
Hey, pigs are not native to Hawaii. So
Oh,
what then?
Ooh.
All right, guys.
Well, there's a lot
Well,
of.
guys, we are bumping up at 1:30 right now, an hour
Okay.
30. So I think it would be a good time to wrap it up. Any final thoughts?
But I have breaking news.
What is it?
I have breaking
What is
news. Lacey Green is following Blair White.
What?
What?
That's ridiculous.
But so
She knows what
that'll
she's
last-
into.
Screenshot.
That'll last a day.
No, that
That's
won't last a
Screenshot.
day.
pretty funny.
You should take bets.
I give it 24 hours and a minute.
If that.
I don't give it that. I give it 8 hours at the most.
Blair is not the correct kind of trans. So
She
That's probably
has to
not gonna
know
work
who
out.
Blair White is by now, though. Like,
Weird.
seriously.
Oh, she does. Oh, I just passed it. Damn it.
Or
Well,
maybe
I'm on my
Lacey
computer, I
Green's
gotta-
finally evolving.
I don't.
She's reached her final
I'm
form.
going to be 100% honest. I don't really want her on our side.
Lacey? Yeah, no.
About new.
Although I have to say, it would be a hell of a thing if Lacey was red pilled and then started making videos on the opposite spectrum. That would be pretty interesting. I would be very suspect of it, though.
Also, the greatest thing is that Blair White's pinned tweet is her video, and the caption on the video is why I don't like the LGBT community.
And roaming millennial liked it, so it's not going well for anybody.
That's true.
Uh,
Yeah, so I think we should
I can't
probably
get this in
close
the
out.
same picture. Oh, great segue, JP.
Oh, sorry. I know we were just talking about how great our segues are. But speaking of segues,
speaking of segue,
Speaking of getting the fuck out of here,
it's closing time.
we need
No?
like stock audio of just someone saying, speaking of segues, we're done. Just everything stops.
if everybody could please just fuck off.
All right. Yeah, let's go ahead
Yeah,
and
we're
fuck
done.
off.
Yeah.
Hang up the phone.
Is Brash here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool.
he gave up when he said we were leaving.
I'm like, screw these guys.
Okay, do you want to take us out?
Well, guys, yeah, it's been awesome to have you guys on again. Let's do this next week.
Same time,
I
same
wanna-
place.
Yeah, I want to make it a every Thursday night, and maybe we'll actually get some viewers. So along the way.
Yay.
And if this hour and a half was too long for you, Mikey will do a recap of our show whenever he gets around to it.
That'd be nice of
Sweet.
him. Maybe we'll actually get Mikey on one of these days. But he's kind of a big deal now, so I don't know.
We had him on our pilot show.
We did. he was too good for the show and ditched after the pilot, I think. No, I'm
Yep.
kidding, Mikey. We love you. So, all right, so next week we're going to be talking about insert future events in this sentence.
Can we
Yeah,
talk
so-
about?
Come back next time.
Can I ask about? Do we talk about one thing next week?
What's that?
Why Matt's such a bite me?
I'm sure we can work that in.
All right.
In fact, let's make that the title of next week's episode. Why is Matt
Such a beta
such a
bitch.
beta bitch? I love it. It's got a real snap to it.
Yeah, man,
I think it's kind of like the same reason that Jared had a problem arm wrestling
that
that
CrossFit
chick.
person.
Like either I win and no big deal, or I lose and it's a big deal. Karen Strong.
Yep.
All right.
All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and sign us off. One sec. Alrighty, where is it?
Always
Sorry.
appreciate that thoughtful discussion.
Down in the
Okay, we're
gonna get
comments.
caught.
Of course,
And
I'm
especially there on
over
Twitter.
Okay, bye.
And